Hi, how are you? I'm right now waiting for this Hask thing to start. How many members are gone right now?
Hot mic, hot mic, hot mic.
Yeah, Jackie, hot mic. Salute.
Trying to figure out.
Call the meeting to order. Members in the committee room anyway will take their seats and we'll go ahead and get started. Well, thank you all for joining us for the organizational meeting of the next Congress at any rate. We do have some members who are joining us remotely, as you can see. I now have to read the instructions for how to remotely participate. One of the key points, as we've already learned this morning, is make sure you're muted unless you're officially speaking, something we're all learning. So, members who are joining remotely must be visible on screen for the purposes of establishing and maintaining a quorum, seeking recognition, participating in the proceeding, and voting. Those members must continue to use the software platform's video function while in attendance unless they experience connectivity issues or other technical problems that render them unable to participate on camera. If a member experiences technical difficulties, they should contact the committee staff for assistance. Video of members' participation will be broadcast in the room and via the television internet feed. Members participating remotely must unmute their microphones and seek recognition verbally, and they are asked to mute their microphones when they are not speaking. Members who are participating remotely are reminded to keep the software platform's video function on the entire time they attend the proceeding. Members may leave and rejoin the proceeding. If members depart for a short while for reasons other than joining a different proceeding, they should leave the video function on. If members will be absent for a significant period of time or depart to join a different proceeding, they may remain logged on to the software platform, but must turn off the audio and visual functions if and until they return. Members may use the software platform's chat feature to communicate with staff regarding technical or logistical support issues only. Finally, I have designated a committee staff member to, if necessary, mute unrecognized members' microphones to cancel any inadvertent background noise that may disrupt the proceedings. All right, so that's the intro on remote participation, and now we are here to launch the House Armed Services Committee for this session of Congress, and I'm very pleased to do that. Look forward to coming back and working together with both returning members and the new members that we have to the committee. Before I get into the new members, I just really want to thank the staff and the members who participated over the course of the last 2 years. You know, it's hard to say exactly, but in the 24 years I've been here, I would wager that they were 2 of the more difficult years for this committee in terms of getting our work done in difficult circumstances. And at the end of the day, in ever more creative fashion, we got it done. And I think we can all be very, very proud of that. The 2 pieces of legislation that we've passed the last 2 years have some incredibly important substantive legislation attached to them. No, Mike, I'm not just talking about the Space Force, but certainly that was one. There were a lot of other things that we were able to do in that legislation that I think is incredibly important. But outside of the substance, the mere fact that in a bipartisan way, a committee in the United States Congress was able to go through regular order and pass 2 defense bills through committee, through markup, through votes, in this committee, on the floor, in the Senate, go into conference and get that done, almost qualifies as a miracle in this particular setting. And I think it is incredibly important that we did that, and I think it is equally important that we continue to do it. I believe passionately in representative democracy. I think it works. I think it is the best system of government going, has been for a long time, and will continue to be. And to the extent that we show people that it can work, that reinforces that message and makes sure that we deliver for the American people, deliver them the democracy that they have every right to expect. So I'm pleased we're able to do that. Again, want to thank the members and the staff, and hell, I'll even thank the Senate. I think they did a very good job as well. So enjoyed working with them and glad we were able to get that done and look forward to moving forward into the new year. With that, we have new members of the committee, which I will introduce, and I will attempt to get the details here to the extent that my glasses do not fog up while I'm doing it. On our side, if I'm counting correctly, so I think we have 7 new members. As you will see near the end here, we have some who are new, but they have been here before, so they're returning. But for now, let me start with Joe Morelli, who is a new member to the committee, not a new member to Congress. He represents New York's 25th district, which includes the University of Rochester's Laboratory for Laser Energetics. He is the son of a Korean War veteran, and he joins the committee having previously served as the majority leader of the New York State Assembly. Welcome, Joe. I should point out, obviously, given the remote setting, some of these members we're introducing are not physically here. They're on the screen, so we can just wave at the screen and welcome him up there and thank him for joining us. Next, we have Sarah Jacobs, who I believe is here. Welcome. She is representing California's 53rd district, replacing Susan Davis, who we all know well, who served on this committee for 22 years quite ably. And the district includes much of San Diego County, which, as we know, has numerous Navy installations from Coronado to Naval Base San Diego, as well as Marine Corps Air Station Miramar, just outside of the district. And prior to Congress, Ms. Jacobs served in the Bureau of Conflict and Stabilization Operations at the U.S. Department of State. Very qualified, and welcome to Congress and welcome to the committee. Our third new member is Kai Kahile, who represents Hawaii's 2nd Congressional District, and which covers all the Hawaiian Islands, a lot of ground to cover. On Oahu, the 2nd Congressional District covers the regions outside of urban Honolulu and its immediate suburbs. Congressman Kahile is a combat veteran, pilot, and commissioned officer in the Hawaii Air National Guard. Always good to have that experience. Welcome to the committee. He, too, is participating remotely. So glad to have Congressman Kahile joining us. Next, we have Marilyn Strickland, who is from my home state of Washington. Once upon a time, I lived in the city of Tacoma when she was the mayor of the city of Tacoma. So Marilyn and I have worked together for a long time. Welcome her to Congress. She represents the 10th District, which includes Joint Base Lewis McChord. Also, again, I used to represent that. So after redistricting 10 years ago, that moved into this district that Marilyn is now representing. That is the largest single-point employer in our state with a yearly impact of $8 billion. Marilyn is the daughter of a World War II and Korean War veteran. We welcome her to the committee as well. Now we have some returning members. Mark Vesey, who represents Texas's 33rd District, known very, very well to us, served on the committee for a couple of years before leaving to serve on other committees and is now back. So we're very happy to have that experience and to represent that part of Texas, which obviously has a huge defense industry in it. Welcome back to Mark Vesey. Jimmy Panetta is also coming back to us, having served on the committee previously. He represents California's 20th District, which includes a lot of national security assets, 4 parent installations, Fort Hunter Liggett Naval Postgraduate School, Presidio of Monterey, and 5 Army National Guard bases. And if you haven't had a chance to get out to see the Navy Postgraduate School, it's, number one, an incredibly beautiful part of the country to go visit, but number two, they are doing really cool stuff out there. And in 2007, he volunteered for active duty and was deployed to Afghanistan and was awarded the Bronze Star for meritorious service in combat. Well, welcome back, Jimmy. Happy to have you on the committee. And lastly on our side, we have Stephanie Murphy. She also has previously served on the committee, is coming back. She represents Florida's 7th District, which includes Naval Support Activity Orlando. She has worked in the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy and was a member of this committee from 2017 to 2018. A terrific and experienced bunch that we have both coming back and joining us anew. So welcome to all the new Democratic members of Congress. Happy to have you on board and look forward to working with you. And with that, I will yield to the ranking member, Mr. Rogers, for his opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I really, it's an honor to be able to lead the Republicans on this committee, and I know that we're going to continue to work in a bipartisan fashion like we have in the past, delivering an authorization each of the last 60 years. And in that vein, I want to thank Chairman Smith and his staff for working with us on committee assignments, subcommittee assignments, and adjusting their ratios so our members could get where they wanted to be, and I appreciate that accommodation. This Congress must continue to address threats posed by a rising China and a belligerent Russia. Like many of our members, I see China's concerted push for global domination as a threat to all free nations. America must engage with our allies and partners to defend ourselves from this growing threat. But that engagement must be backed by credible and a modern military. This means addressing gaps in our readiness and fielding next-generation capabilities faster than ever before. Thankfully, we have some new talent on the way to help us with this endeavor. And fortunately, again, this cycle, the Armed Services Committee was one of the most sought-after committees on the Republican conference side. And we have 9 new members with a range of interest and experience. First, we have Mike Johnson, who represents the 4th District of Louisiana. His district is home to Barksdale Air Force Base and Polk Joint Readiness Training Center. Next, we have Mark Greene of Tennessee. He represents their 7th District. He served 24 years in the Army, between the Academy and as a physician on active duty in the Army and as an Army Reserve. Stephanie Bice represents the 5th District of Oklahoma, which is home to thousands of Oklahomans who work to serve with Tinker Air Force Base. Scott Franklin represents the 15th District of Florida. He has served 26 years as a naval aviator, 14 on active duty, and 12 in the Naval Reserve. Lisa McClain represents Michigan's 10th District, home to Selfridge Air National Guard Base. She joins us after a very successful business career. Ronnie Jackson represents the 13th District of Texas. He had a 25-year career in the Navy and led the White House Medical Unit as physician to President Obama and President Trump. Jerry Carl, a former county commissioner who represents Alabama's 1st District, home of our nation's critical shipyard infrastructure. And Blake Moore, who represents Utah's 1st District, had a distinguished career in the Foreign Service before coming to Congress, and he cares very much about Hill Air Force Base. Pat Fallon represents the 4th District of Texas. Again, we have 2 members from Texas because they do have an incredible defense presence there, 15 active duty installations. He served as an officer in the Air Force before becoming a successful businessman. And I welcome each of these new members and look forward to working with them. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you very much. And actually, I was remiss in my opening remarks on congratulating our new ranking member. Obviously not new to the committee. We've worked together for many, many years, and it's great to have you in that seat. Look forward to continuing our bipartisan tradition. So now we have some business to conduct to get the committee set up, and I call up Committee Resolution Number 1 regarding the committee rules for the 117th Congress, and the clerk shall read the resolution.
Committee Resolution Number 1, resolved that the Committee on Armed Services, U.S. House of Representatives, adopt the committee rules for the 117th Congress, which are stated in the copy distributed to each member.
The proposed committee rules have been developed jointly with Ranking Member Rogers and made available to members' offices on Friday, January 29th. Following consultation with Mr. Rogers, I ask unanimous consent that the resolution be considered as read and that the resolution be open. Is there objection? Without objection, it is so ordered. And at this time, is there any discussion or are there any questions concerning the committee rules? If there is no discussion, are there any amendments to the committee rules? Hearing none, the chair now recognizes the gentleman from Washington, Mr. Larson, for the purpose of offering a motion regarding Committee Resolution Number 1, the committee rules.
Mr. Chair, I move to adopt Committee Resolution Number 1 concerning the committee rules.
Question now occurs on the motion of the gentleman from Washington, Mr. Larson. So many as are in favor will say aye. Aye. Opposed? A quorum being present, the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted, and without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid upon the table. The next order of business is Committee Resolution Number 2. Regarding the committee's security procedures for the 117th Congress, I call up Committee Resolution Number 2. The clerk shall read the resolution.
Committee Resolution Number 2, resolved that the Committee on Armed Services, U.S. House of Representatives, adopt the committee security procedures for the 117th Congress, a copy of which has been distributed to each member.
The security procedures were coordinated with Mr. Rogers and were made available to members' offices on Friday, January 29th. Following consultation with Mr. Rogers, I ask unanimous consent that the resolution be considered as read and that the resolution be open to amendment at any point. Is there objection? That objection is so ordered, and at this time, is there any discussion? Or are there any questions concerning the security procedures? There is no discussion. Are there any amendments to the security procedures? Hearing no amendments, the chair now recognizes the gentleman from Long Island, Mr. Langevin, for the purposes of offering a motion regarding Committee Resolution Number 2, the security procedures for the 117th Congress. Mr. Langevin.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt Committee Resolution Number 2, the security procedures for the 117th Congress.
The question now occurs on the motion of the gentleman from Long Island, Mr. Langevin. So many as are in favor will say aye. Aye. As opposed, say no. A quorum being present, the ayes have it, and the resolution is adopted. Without objection, motion to reconsider is laid upon the table, which brings us to the final order of business. I call up Committee Resolution Number 3, appointing committee staff for the 117th Congress. The clerk shall read the resolution.
Committee Resolution Number 3, resolved that the persons listed on the sheet distributed to the members and such other personnel as may be required by the committee within the limits and terms authorized under the rules of the House of Representatives are hereby appointed to the staff of the Committee on Armed Services, U.S. House of Representatives, for the 117th Congress, it being understood that according to the provisions of law, the chairman will fix the basic salary per annum.
Thank you. As many of you know, our committee is unique in that the committee staff is a combined staff. What that means basically is every other committee, you divide up Democrats, Republicans, go your separate ways. Here, our staff works for everybody, and I hope members will recognize that and take advantage of that. Every single member of the staff that we have is open to every member of this committee, and they have incredibly valuable experience that will help us do our job. So please take advantage of that. Build those relationships with the staff. They have a lot of knowledge to share. They are a very talented group of professionals. A copy of the committee staff for the 117th Congress was prepared in consultation with minority and made available to members' offices on Friday, January 29th. Following consultation with Mr. Rogers, I ask unanimous consent that the resolution be considered as read. Is there objection? Without objection, it is so ordered. And at this time, is there any discussion or is there any questions regarding the committee staff? Hearing none, the chair now recognizes the gentleman from Rhode Island, Mr. Langevin, for the purposes of offering a motion regarding Committee Resolution Number 3, appointing the committee staff for the 117th Congress. Mr. Langevin.
Mr. Chairman, I move to adopt Committee Resolution Number 3 regarding committee staffing for the 117th Congress.
Question now occurs on the motion of the gentleman from Rhode Island, Mr. Langevin. So many as are in favor will say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. A quorum being present, the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. And without objection, a motion to consider is laid upon the table. Without objection, committee staff is authorized to make technical and conforming changes to reflect the action of the committee in adopting committee resolutions 1 through 3. Before we adjourn, let me raise an administrative matter. As chairman, Yeah, this is the issue surrounding our committee hearings. There is a 5-minute rule, as you are all aware. We try to get to absolutely every member. We this year have 59 members of this committee. We have a lot of hearings, and there is a 5-minute rule for every member. You can do the math on that one and figure out how long it would take to do a committee hearing if all 59 members took all 5 minutes. We don't always get to everybody, but we try to make sure that the members of this committee, regardless of their senior or junior, have an opportunity. So in doing that, when you have 5 minutes, you have 5 minutes. There used to be the old trick of, making your question last 4 minutes and 50 seconds and then letting the guy take 5 or 10 minutes to answer it. We don't do that. When the 5 minutes is up, the 5 minutes is up. And the reason we do that is not to be mean to the member asking the question. It's to try to respect all members of the committee. It is my honest and heartfelt opinion that every single member of this committee is equally important, whether you just got here or whether you've been here for 24 years. So we want to try to be as inclusive as possible and get everybody's perspectives and views as best as we can. So that is what we will try to do. That is all I have. Let me recognize Mr. Rogers for any closing comments he wishes to add to the discussion.
I have none other than saying it's just an honor to be here, and this committee does have a bipartisan history that we value and we want to see continue, and we'll be working in that vein and look forward to it.
Absolutely. I think it's a great note to end on. So no further business. The committee stands adjourned, subject to the call of the chair. Thank you very much.